Three, two, one, ghost. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 3, 2, 1, Ghost. I'm your host with the Silent G, Kyle, and as always, joined by my pal Natalie. Hey, Natalie. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I am doing great. We've been very clear on this podcast. We do not like camping. We don't like cabins. We don't like the woods. So, like, really, any combination of those, especially when you have all three of those concepts together, no fucking thank you.
Mm.
However, why do we choose to punish ourselves by covering movies about camping in cabins? What does that say about us?
I think it says that we're helping humanity because people need to know the dangers of camping and being in cabins.
Can I say something and share something that I have no backing, but it's like I heard from a friend of a friend of a friend that I think they said once,
Absolutely. I love rumors and false information.
especially because we're talking about United States and horror as well as uh maybe juxtaposed with Japanese horror.
Mhm.
Um a lot of the fright from American audiences comes from like the wilderness in the outdoors and
Hmm,
shit. So a lot of horror movies take place in those sorts of scenarios,
that's fair.
whereas in Japanese horror, it's more in urban settings.
Hmm.
But I don't know if that's actually true. I don't think I've seen like enough to like really say like, oh, that's a pretty good sample size. But there you go. I said it though. I've committed it to recording. What do you think?
I okay, the Japanese horror that I've seen fits that, but I've seen a lot of American horror and it doesn't always take place in the woods. But isolation is a theme.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So there you go. Hey, everybody. We're talking about 2011's Cabin in the Woods. This one was written by Joss Whedon. I don't know if he'd been canceled at that point yet.
No,
As
this is way
as
before
well,
that.
yeah. And then Drew Goddard, who's probably also super well known for writing Cloverfield.
Oh, I didn't know that. I know him very well from writing Buffy. He was a writer on
Right.
Buffy and on Angel.
He also did some other movie with I was about to say Chris Pratt. Which Chris is it that's in this one? Hemsworth. That's it.
Hemsworth.
Um, something like Good Times at the El Royale or something like that. Some
I've never
other,
seen it.
yeah, kind of shoot 'em up action movie or something that he had done. Um, he also directed this movie. This is his directorial debut. Um, Allegedly, according to IMDb trivia, he wasn't originally going to be the director. Geez. Apparently, they were considering Victor Salva, the guy from Jeepers Creepers.
Oh,
Ugh.
interesting. That would have been a double whammy on this one.
No, thank you. Yeah. This movie's got Kristen Connolly, Chris Hemsworth, who I mentioned,
Mm.
Anna Hutchison, if we're keeping track of our current former Power Rangers count.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Fran Kranz, Jesse Williams, and then two like kind of like staples of uh gosh, all sorts of movies. Gosh, you got, Richard
Hmm.
Jenkins and Bradley Whitford. I've seen them in both. Like I feel like they're always in a Will Ferrell comedy or they're in some sort of like political procedural.
Yes, absolutely. Like it's very day and night, the roles that
Yeah.
they choose. Mm.
Bradley Whitford just always I'm just always gonna love him for Billy Madison.
Yes, and he's also in Get Out. So
He
he
is.
he could he could get an industry legend award.
I approve it. Bradley Whitford, welcome to the team, dude. Well fucking deserved. Um, this movie, I'd only seen it once when it came out. So, shortly before recording this episode was the second time I had ever seen this movie before. You've seen it quite a few more times though, right?
Yeah, did you see it in the theater?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater the first time. And then I think this is really funny. I think I own it on DVD. And I also, when I went, I was like Googling like where it's streaming for free to prepare for this episode. And then I went on Amazon and I was like, oh, I own this movie. I purchased it on Amazon as well. So I would say I've probably seen this movie maybe at least 5 or 6 times before watching it again to record this episode. So I've seen it quite a bit, but maybe watched it like every couple of years.
I think, ultimately, this movie's fine. I like it. I don't know if, gosh, it's got something in the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think an average score of like 8 out of
Hmm
10, just about. I think don't remember being as super hot on the movie, at least not enough to want to revisit it. Um, but the concept is always, you know, intriguing. And I think
hmm
any attempt at horror comedy, even if it always doesn't stick the landing, which honestly they kind of rarely do, except for like the absolutely fucking great ones, which I feel like I've spoken about before at length. I still appreciate the effort and appreciate that it's something a little weird, a little different, a little
hmm
offbeat. So I certainly appreciate the hell out of this movie.
I I think that this movie, so this is where you start to really like, because Joss Whedon, before being canceled, I had watched, I think, everything that he had done. Um, and this movie, when it came out, was extra exciting for me because one, you can feel his writing in this movie. Like the jokes are very familiar, the tone is very familiar.
Yeah,
It feels like things that he's done before. And you've watched, a lot, like a few of his things too, I know. Um,
enough.
but there's a few actors in this that also have crossed paths with other Joss Whedon shows. So Fran Kranz, that's such a hard name to say, Fran Kranz. He was in a show called Dollhouse that Joss Whedon had done that got
That was
canceled after like 2 seasons. It had Eliza Dushku.
oh, okay.
That show is very underrated.
I get that mixed up with there was this like time in the late 90s, early aughts where there's this combination of shows. There's like that one with Eliza Dushku. Um, there was one with Jennifer Garner, and then another one with Jessica
Oh, that's
Alba.
Alias.
Sure. And like I get them
Yeah.
all kind of mixed together. I know that's probably sounds really dumb because I'm sure they're probably different enough. But
Yeah.
I just felt like even just like the color schemes on a lot, maybe they were all just on Fox or some shit. I don't even
Yeah.
remember. But it's yeah, I never saw Dollhouse. I like Eliza
Yeah.
Dushku though.
It's
Who
it's
doesn't love
pretty
bringing on?
good. Yeah. And she actually is really great in it too. And then Amy Acker, who's the woman from the Chem Lab, she is a major character on Angel. And then the intern, Ronald the intern. That's
Uh-huh.
Tom Lenk, and he was also in Buffy. So like watching this as someone who loves so many things that Joss Whedon has done, like as all these little like cameos and these character actors were popping up, it made the movie more fun for me. So I think there's some bias there for sure.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I never watched all of Buffy. I watched all of Firefly and
Mm-hmm.
Serenity.
Everyone should watch that.
Maybe. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'd go back and be like, I don't know.
No, it's still good. I watched
Is
an
it?
episode recently, and I watched Serenity with my son, and it fucking hit. It really did.
I think I remember liking Serenity better than Firefly. That might be blasphemy for that niche crowd, but it just felt a little more polished and
About
adult,
even.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, gosh, I'm ready to hop into this movie. How about you?
Me too. Let's do it.
Um, the other thing this movie is trying to do, where it gets a lot of its humor, is just that clash between obviously something like fucking wild going on, where you have all of these ancient gods that demand a ritual sacrifice. How often do they need them to do this? Is it every year or is it every?
I
Do they ever
was
say?
I mean, before we get into this movie, there are two things that I'm so curious about that the movie doesn't answer. One is how often they do this ritual.
Okay.
If it's yearly, I feel like that is a lot of work, right?
If you have like well, I don't know if it's like a NATO situation where like, certain countries like agree to be a part of this and like maybe like Paraguay's just like, nah, get the fuck out. I don't want anything to do with this. Y'all figure this out. Or like I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but
Well,
every
the
year would be rough.
second the second thing that occurred to me, and not until this watch of this movie, and I've seen it so many times, is why does Japan have a different standard of who dies than the US? Because the US has that very specific group that they need to sacrifice, but then it's all 9-year-old girls for Japan.
Well, I think the idea is that they have to work within the rules of like, I don't know, like their cultural horror trappings, I suppose. So it makes sense. We're
Maybe.
in Japan. Maybe it's just like a bunch of schoolgirls and
Yeah.
one funny little ghost. That all those bits were pretty funny to watch that.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
So
and
I
then
just was curious about that because that popped in my head and I was like, oh, that kind of that pulled me out of it a little.
and then in America, it I guess I assume it's taking its or borrowing the trappings from like your 80s slashers, essentially.
Hmm. See, I
So
liked the idea of taking those tropes and finding a way to make them go and like be relevant without them taking responsibility for it. I thought was kind of fun, like when they're like asking her to like show her tits and the guy's kind of like rolling his eyes like why is that important? He's like, oh no, like it's part of the show, like she's got to do it. So I was like, oh, that's kind of fun that they found a way to like skirt around those little things.
is it, do they
Yeah,
skirt around it though?
yeah, I think they do. I think
You,
it's really fun.
are you sure it isn't just sexual
Yeah,
assault? Yeah, okay.
her showing her breasts, she doesn't know
Yes,
their watch and she's about to die.
they do drug her. So they
Hmm.
date rape her essentially. But we'll get
I
there.
mean, they drug all of them.
But she's the only one that has to die top of this.
It's
So like
true.
I get it. I get it where maybe I'll just jump into a little bit of it now, where it's like I get where the movie wants to be clever
Hmm.
and I get it. It's pointing out all the tropes
Hmm.
and forcing the tropes
Yeah,
on people, whether or not like they are those characters or those
yeah.
archetypes or not, right? Because it's not
Hmm.
even like, you know, like Dana's not even a virgin, like Sigourney Weaver
Hmm.
says, like, well, we work with what we got.
Yeah.
Really the only person that perfectly fit his archetype was Marty.
Marty. Hmm.
Um, Whereas everybody else was like, Chris Hemsworth's like, yeah, I enter with a football in my very first scene, but also, you know, I've got a full ride for my sociology major or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. So he's smart. But then I
Yeah.
was thinking of like Chris Hemsworth, like smart Chris Hemsworth from that Ghostbusters movie he's in. It's just like
Oh
him
my
in the
gosh.
glasses.
He's so good in that. He's
He is
so,
really good
so
in that
good in
movie.
that. Yes.
People are too hard on that movie.
I
Um,
agree. I think he is the best part of that movie, though. I really, him play, he says,
that's
never
probably
mind.
true.
All I can think about now is Chris
Sure.
Hemsworth.
So I don't even know where I was, but uh,
We can get to it. We'll get
let's
to it
hop
when
into
we
this
get to
movie.
it. Yeah.
The other thing too, I think my original point was, I think a lot of the humor comes from just like, how wild all of this is,
Hmm.
also clashing with just day-to-day monotonous office humor, you know,
Hmm.
and just
Which I
all
like.
the dumb things that they talk about. Like they're just going like, it must be at least annual because it seems like they're doing this all the time and it's just
That's
so
true. They don't
nothing
seem
to
super
them.
phased by it. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it was once a year. I don't remember if they say it explicitly or not, but I feel better
Hmm.
now that you didn't hear that either.
Yeah.
So you've got Richard Jenkins, Bradley Whitford, I don't know, talking about like women problems. I forget exactly what they're
He's
talking about.
he's talking about his wife putting like safety locks on the cabinets because they're trying to get pregnant.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then we hear that something is going on. It is an international effort.
Hmm.
Um, Stockholm, Sweden, whatever their initiative was that was going on,
Failed.
failed. Um, they're all talking about, like, the wife and the old ball and chain and this and this and this. And then of course you have like a woman that comes up and says, should we be worried about this? And they're like, haha, get out of here, idiot.
Yeah.
Then the men are talking. Let's get on our little cart. And then
Yeah.
cabin in the woods,
Yeah.
opening. And
Yeah.
then this is
I
what
I like the humor and the like setup for that little intro because you kind of forget about them for a minute.
and it sets up like almost immediately like this is a comedy. We are not
Hmm.
trying to, make this anything else. I
Yeah.
mean, I think the movie probably succeeds to some degree in terms of like, I guess maybe some stuff could be scary-ish,
Hmm.
but it's definitely played humor first. All of
It's
this.
definitely played humor first. There are some scenes though when I was watching it this time that I was like, they do kind of catch you off guard with that first kill.
Yeah.
Is played pretty well, I think.
So you're introduced to our group of five. It's got to be at least five that we
Hmm.
learn. You've got Dana. She is not a virgin, but is supposed to be the virgin, as we learned because I guess she's been sleeping with her college professor
Yeah, so
and
she's
also
definitely not a
like
virgin.
sketches, you know, makes little sketches of him from like the back of
Uh-huh.
his head.
Yeah, she's a little bit
Mm.
obsessed maybe.
And then you've got Jules, who just dyed her hair blonde.
Hmm.
That's important, right?
And she's pre-med.
And she's pre-med.
Hmm.
You also got Kurt, which is, Chris
Mm,
Hemsworth,
a young
who
Chris
is
Hemsworth. Mm.
doing just like almost like trying to barricade a door and hold like the flood from coming in, just trying his best to prop up an American accent. And you can hear it like slightly getting real wobbly and starting to fall apart.
Oh, he's not that bad. I go easy on him because he's easy on the eyes.
Yeah. So he's a smart cookie too,
Awesome.
allegedly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got Holden, who's a friend who they're
Hmm.
trying to, get connected with Dana so she can get over the whole college professor thing. And then you've got Marty, who is your kind of a MacGyver stoner type
Hmm.
in the sense where he's got like a bong that collapses to a mug, which like a
I
telescope or something.
so in the IMDb trivia,
Mm.
there's a fun fact about this mug bong situation. Apparently, they made a prototype for an actual functioning, like it can actually function as a coffee mug and as a bong. Like they developed it. It cost them $5,000.
That's a lot.
I just thought that was so interesting that they would waste all that money on that when they could just make a fake one.
Well, when it's like a lower budget movie, like I'm thinking like where that money could go towards, you
Yeah, but
know?
I didn't look at the budget for this movie, but I mean if they had $5,000, just fuck around with that.
But hey, Marty, come on, dude, don't fucking smoke and drive. Don't get high and drive. What are you
I
doing?
know, like while driving, get out of here.
Yeah, get the fuck out. Well, and both, even after drive, even after getting high.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it had a $30 million budget.
okay. Well, $5,000. They're like, look, we need to
Whatever,
make this
take it or
bong.
leave it. Yeah.
Which I guess it does come into use later. They're like, okay, look, we're gonna cut the check for this, but can this save someone like later in the movie? Like,
Yeah,
can
they were like, it needs to reappear at some point for
it
sure.
needs it needs to have a
Yeah.
third use outside of mug and bong?
Yeah. I think they do a really good job of introducing all the characters in in a not so obvious way because they give little hints for each person. Like they hint that, you know, Kurt is smart. They say that Holden plays football, so he's not really he's not known for his academic achievements, I guess you could say. And they just kind of like, throw little things in there. But I think Jules and Kurt are actually a really cute and convincing couple. I believe them as a couple, like at least in this like beginning parts before they start falling into the archetypes.
They were the only two I liked, to be honest, out of the five.
Oh,
I was
really? I love
I
Marty. I do.
I don't, because Marty seems to be like the closest to, I don't know, like that's where all the Joss Whedon lines were going, was to Marty.
Oh, for sure. I definitely agree. Um, he, what I like about Marty is that because of, him catching on to things, but being so stoned all the time that nobody believes him is kind of fun, even though it feels like very low-hanging fruit. I enjoy everything with Marty. I think he's really fun and really cute.
So Kurt has a cousin that has a cabin
Mhm.
outside of I was trying to say Kurt has a cousin has a cabin. Try to say that a few times fast. Um So, and they are climbing into an old Winnebago and putting the little motorbike buddy on the back
Mhm.
and taking that out for at least the weekend. I don't know.
I have a question. This was
Sure.
another thing that just occurred to me on this watch. Why did we need the Winnebago if you only have five people? You could easily fit in a small SUV and you're staying in a cabin. Did we really need an RV?
I mean, I think if one was available, I think for like comfort, like to hang out in there as they drive, if it's a really long drive.
I guess it just like, and there was no real indicator of how long the drive was either. So that just bothered me this go around that I was like, why did they need the RV?
So they head that way. They go, as far as off the grid essentially. But not really off the grid because they're being watched. And also, I'm not really sure how these kids in particular get picked, or do they just find out like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, they just send people to schools to spy on like groups of friends and be like, oh man, they're planning a camping trip. Here we go. These are our ones.
No, they planted that camping trip because at the end she says, I don't even think Kurt has a cousin.
Well, no, because I guess they do drug them early because remember
Yeah,
the
who knows
the
how long they're
blonde
setting it
hair
up.
dye.
Hmm.
That's wild. That just seems
Yeah.
like a lot of work every year.
Maybe
If
they
they
pick them, maybe they pick them years in advance.
Yeah.
That wouldn't make sense though, because then, friend groups changed and shit. But
Well, and I think that's why they need to like make sure like how do we get Marty in this group? They all fucking
mhm.
hate Marty. So how do we, turns out just having great weed is not enough for kids these days. But so they're on their way. Someone's spying on them from the rooftop. They report back to this office where they've got this like underground bunker control room where they're
Mhm.
just essentially spying on these kids and
Yeah.
tracking them via some sort of satellite system, right?
Hmm.
From there, on their way, they stop at our first kind of spooky place, which is this gas station. Um,
Would you stop at that gas station?
no, I'd be like, I mean,
Why didn't we get gas in town?
yeah, it's like, what are we doing? Like, it's a Winnebago. It's like, it's got maybe a big tank, but like, probably guzzles through that shit fast. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
So this is where we run into, I think his name's Mordecai.
Yeah, he's our harbinger.
Yeah, and
I
I
love
mean,
him.
just like in every movie, I mean, like we saw this in Cabin Fever, we saw this in, if at least all of the Friday the 13th so far
Oh
to
yeah.
date, is always just that harbinger of like,
Hmm.
y'all get there, but y'all coming back and just saying cryptic shit.
Yeah.
So the whole thing theoretically could fall apart, like they say later, that like it
Hmm.
all could fall apart um if these kids say, oh Jesus Christ, fuck this guy, this is spooky, let's drive back the other way.
Hmm.
If he's saying he won't give us enough gas to get back, that feels really
Yeah.
unsafe. I'm good.
Yeah, well, especially because they do say that they need to do things of their free will. So at this point, they seem to is it seems like it's their last chance to get out of the situation. Whereas once they get to that cabin, they are full on trapped. Or once they get through that tunnel, I should say.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I would bring the Winnebago. I was thinking if there was like a shot, like, or a chance where, I remember like in House of Wax, where they're on their
Mhm.
way and they're just driving cars and like, oh, here's a swamp. Let's just set up a tent. I'd be like, no, 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 no,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
stay in the Winnebago.
That's a good
But,
point.
Winnebagos don't always save you. I don't think we're at that Friday the 13th yet.
Mm-mm.
So it's a lose-lose situation, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
So at the gas station, the dude also mentions that the cabin, the property itself, people are always trying to sell that property, and it used to be the old
Mm-hmm.
Buckner place,
Mm-hmm.
which is really convenient that the monster they summon happens to be the Buckner family when they're
Does
at the
he say the
Buckner
old Buckner
cabin.
place? I thought he refers to a different family.
Does he?
I think he says the last family that like I knew that lived there was this family.
Well, and when he said, like, did you know the original owners? And I thought he said the Buckners. I could be wrong though.
I don't think he did.
Hmm.
Um, I I do think it's interesting, and this happens a lot in these movies too, that, you know, of course your harbinger is always going to be like either racist or sexist or both. Like they
Yeah.
always act inappropriately because, it's supposed to be like somebody who you wouldn't trust as a reliable source. So you have to get rid of that trust by making them terrible people, right? But I don't know that I would want to like make enemies with someone who's like my closest source for help if something were to happen. You know what I mean? Like I would just be like, "Okay, thanks for the gas. We're going to be on our way." Like and just be polite. You never know. You might need them later.
Yeah. Pro tip, everybody. Just be nice.
Like, well, in that situation, I mean, it's the only fucking gas station to be seen.
They make it through this tunnel, essentially the tunnel of no return, because that tunnel's
Hmm.
gonna get blown the fuck up later. You also see that they're essentially stuck in this area of land. I don't know how
Hmm.
large, like how many acres this area is, but
Yeah.
you see this essentially invisible like force
It's like a,
field, fake
yeah, it's like
invisible
a force
wall,
field. Hmm.
right? Because that eagle flies through and crashes right into it.
Yeah, which you totally forget about by the time it's relevant again.
Which I guess I'm curious, like, okay, if I'm like in a conservation group, like I don't know how do you keep this secret when I
Just
feel like
killing
you need,
eagles.
yeah, it's like how like these are an endangered species and are like national bird. What how do we try to find a middle ground so endangered species don't keep dying?
That's a
You
good
know what I
point.
mean?
Well, do we
So,
think that force field is up all year long too?
huh. Oh no, I guess you're right. Maybe they turn it off
Or only when they
afterwards.
need it? So, like, I mean, like, if one eagle goes missing, they're like, isn't it so weird that every September all the eagles just start dropping dead?
Yeah. It's like, I don't think this is sustainable. I don't think we can
Yeah,
do
it's
this.
such a weird
But,
coincidence.
or it's like, I get it. Yes. Save all of humanity. Sure. I get it. Ritual, ancient god. Yes. Yes. And, you know, conservation, please. Come on. So they arrive at the cabin, which is like essentially just straight out of Evil Dead. Looks
Oh,
almost
yeah. It
identical.
looks almost identical. Yeah, it does.
I would not be surprised. I mean, I forget when that first remake came out, the Fede Alvarez one.
Hmm.
Maybe that was like a year or two prior,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I wonder if it was just that same fucking cabin they used.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
if you look at the list, which I did take a picture of all the like possible scenarios, all the monsters, Deadites are on the list.
Oh, so there you go.
So maybe that's the same cabin.
I don't think the movie takes this leap, but it makes me think about if this movie then existed in the same universe as every horror movie that's ever existed.
I've thought about that a lot actually.
And that Freddy and Jason, Michael Myers or whatever,
Hmm.
they're
Just
all
monsters of
controlled
this
by,
place.
right. I'm
Because you
sure
do have
someone's
that pinhead look-alike.
right. And that's where I'm like, I can't be the first to think of that literally just right now.
No.
So
Hmm.
I've seen the movie literally 2 times and I'm just like, oh my God, Natalie, I've
What
got
if?
theories on theories. Hear me out. What if every movie? I don't know. So they're getting settled. They're all picking rooms. Holden goes into his room and sees this very off-putting painting of some
I
sort
love the
of
painting.
ritualistic murder that's happening, maybe of an animal, of a person, I don't know.
Hmm. Well,
One's
foreshadow for them.
one spooky little fucker just hanging out in the background, just looking like he's just in approval of whatever's going on. He's like, ugh, let's take down this painting. No fucking thank you. Let's turn this around. Um, and then this is where he finds that one-way mirror and starts seeing
Hmm.
Dana starting to undress on the other end of the room.
Yes.
See, I couldn't remember this movie. I was like halfway writing on my thing, like, Holden,
He
don't be a
hesitates
creep.
he hesitates way too long. Like you can tell he's like, okay, like this is not a situation that I expected to happen. And when he walks away the first time, I'm like, okay, that was a good amount of time because you would kind of probably freeze and be like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
But as soon as he saw her on the other side, like you're already in like the, ooh, I'm accidentally crossing a privacy line here. Like he should have tapped right away. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, he definitely he hesitates a little too long.
So ultimately, I guess he's not as much of a creep as he could have been. Sure.
Hmm.
Um, they agree to switch rooms. They flirt
Hmm.
a little bit, you
Yeah, that was
know.
nice of him to switch.
Yeah. Be like, do you? And then immediately he knows what he's doing, and he
Oh,
immediately starts
he
taking
took
off
off
his
that
shirt.
shirt so fast and starts undoing his pants. And when you switch that situation, my moral compass goes right out the fucking door. I was like, oh, I would have watched the whole thing.
You
The
are
whole
too
thing.
much. Oh my gosh, you are too much. Um, Marty's just like, in Puritan times, they needed their own interrogation rooms, I guess.
I was thinking that it was their own like way of having porn.
I suppose.
Like you could just like creep on people in their bedrooms, but maybe that's just,
Ugh.
me.
So, it doesn't really matter about this whole mirror thing and people watching somebody because they're all being watched. You learn that there's
Hmm.
little hidden cameras and microphones throughout the entire
Everywhere.
cabin, and really not even just in the cabin, but yeah, outside, literally everywhere in the trees and
Everywhere.
shit,
Hmm.
everywhere. This is when it's revealed back at the office in their little bunker control room situation. Um, that they've identified Jules as, part of my language, the whore,
Hmm.
um, and had put something in her blonde hair dye. So they've been doing this, like I said,
Love
like
that.
long before this trip even started. Um,
Hmm.
that I guess like increases her libido, like it's like pheromones they put in
No,
her.
that's not what it's for. It's to make her dumber.
Oh, it's
It
to make
says
her dumber.
it slows down her like cognitive something or other, they say. So the hair dye is to make her dumber. The pheromones are to get her horny, but like that's for later. So
Right.
she just needs to be dumb first, which seems like it's kind of the same thing that's happening to Chris Hemsworth as well.
Yeah.
Um, but I like that little reveal of how much they've invested into getting these people into these roles that they're playing.
Which I mean, I guess is kind of, I mean, if this is intentional, I think it's like a cute nod because you'll watch like say these Friday the 13th movies and like while I appreciate that like hey, I like the nerds and the jocks and the whatever like all living in harmony, but sometimes you watch those movies and you're like how are these people friends? How did
Yes,
that happen?
exactly. Yeah.
Like outside of like all maybe just being hired separately to work at a camp, but that's not the same
Hmm.
situation in every one of those movies, right? So,
Yeah.
and I think it's common in a lot of like slasher movies, like why are these people together? And it makes sense, like they're chemically
Yeah.
like making them put up with each other, making them be in this unit, whatever, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, Mordecai or Harbinger, he calls in and starts saying cryptic shit. And they just start making fun of him. And that just
Yeah,
kind
I
of
like
shows
it.
how, it makes sense. Like we're only seeing the American office here. So they are just kind of brash and obnoxious, the
Yeah,
hubris, right?
yeah.
So they're making fun of poor Mordecai. But
Oh, they
he's
make
also
fun
just
of
saying,
everything. Like they literally make fun of every other country that they mention. They make fun of the Japanese. They make fun
yeah,
of
unfortunate.
Mordecai. Like, yeah, they make fun of everyone. I think it's very intentional that they act the way that they do.
So this ritual or whatever that they're planning that involves these five college kids is this ritual is allegedly underway. So you've got also people at the office placing bets.
Love that.
And I assume it's like placing bets on what monster they're going to summon. I think
Hmm.
they show that board later. I wasn't sure if it was that or like maybe what order people die in because you learned that they all could die. They're all supposed to die except for the virgin, who can die, but
But
she has to die last.
the whore has to die first.
Right. She has to
So they
die
said the whore
first.
has to die first. Anyone else can die in any order. And then the virgin either has to die last or live, but have suffered.
So, then I guess I appreciate the flexibility there.
Yeah, that's pretty flexible out of what, five people?
That's some benevolence from this ancient gods, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then you also have this character who I don't like. This like the new guy,
Ronald the
essentially.
intern, I love him.
Not the intern, or is he the intern? He's the guy who keeps,
Oh no,
yeah,
the
not the intern.
military guy, the military guy. Yeah.
Yeah. The new guy who's like supposed to like kind of be this moral compass, essentially. Like he's always one to be like, do we need to see this? Or like,
Truman is his
do
name.
we need to be doing this? And like having some sort of like questioning the proceedings, right?
Yeah, I feel like something that they're trying to do and actually fail at with him. I think they want you to make it feel like he's going to have some moral dilemma and maybe switch sides and help the kids rather than like because he makes a comment about they were like, "Did you prepare? Like, are you prepared?" And he's like, "Yeah, like I'm ready
Mhm.
to stay on my post." Like he's very clear that he's going to do his duty, but you could see he's having a moral dilemma the whole time. So I feel like they kind of like build it up and then they just end up killing him randomly with some monster. So I don't know if that was intentional that they just kind of cut that off or if it was just a fail on the plot.
Do his duty. It's pretty good.
Oh my gosh. That's that's all you heard.
Yeah, I checked out right after that. So I agree. Because I'm like, hey man, you try to have like you question things and you try to have your moral compass, wavering, blah 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 blah. But also you stood there and watched her get topless too. So
Yeah.
you could have just turned around and been a gentleman, buddy, but no, you
Yeah.
are not.
Yeah.
They also explain to Truman, I think, at this point where it's like, look, we can't control everything. We can control a lot, as we're seeing,
Hmm.
but ultimately, they've got free will. They need to choose whether or not to listen to the warnings from the Harbinger. They need to choose the monster
Villain.
to
Hmm.
summon, yeah, from the basement. But I'm like, if you're constantly like just slow release drugging them over however
And
length of
whispering like
time,
into the air,
yeah,
like they're like, read it, put it on, go for a walk. Like that doesn't
yeah.
feel like free will. Like you're giving them subliminal messages while being drugged.
Back at the cabin, as everyone does, there's always that point where they're like, oh, let's play truth or dare.
Yeah.
So, oh, geez, you've got Jules who makes out with that wolf face. That's
It's
like,
terrifying. That wolf face is terrifying. I'm not putting my face next to that face. I felt like that wolf was going to bite her face off.
and I'm like, that's a real wolf face.
Yeah, she puts her tongue in
Stop.
it.
Ew.
Gross.
Ugh. No, thank you. Um, and then at this point, as Dana is gonna answer truth or dare, the cabin door or the basement door in the floor just bursts open.
Yeah. I like that you see that Kurt's starting to get dumber because he's like, oh, must have been the wind.
Yeah, I know. I would immediately be like, well, we gotta go. That was not normal. The way that it swung open
That
that
it
hard like
popped
that.
open. Mm-mm.
Yeah, no. I geez, I could have still made it back. That tunnel was still open. I would have been
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm leaving
Yeah.
now. Let's go.
Mhm.
They're like, hey, well, I dare you to go check out what's going down in that basement. Go check it out, Dana. Which she does, which she shouldn't.
Mhm.
But yeah, no fucking thank you. I'm not going down in that goddamn basement.
I know.
But
I wonder to what lengths they would go to get them in the basement because if they had just been like, oh no, we're not going in the basement and just closed it, they would have had to try to get them back in there.
this is the only one in America that they're doing, I
Hmm.
think. Like
Hmm.
I would have like hedged my bets and said like, hey, like we need at least like a couple regional situations, or is America only allowed to do one ritual and it works or it doesn't? Like you can't have
I would
one
assume
going
they
on in New
could.
York, one going on in the desert, one going on here.
I'm gonna guess just for the sake of how it is set up that it's one per region, which can be countries, but it's probably like a certain amount of space that they have to do this in.
Like these are ancient gods. Like, do they recognize like current like countries' borders?
Well, no,
Like, how
they
do
don't have to
they?
recognize the borders, but like let's say they have their own borders that they have, like their ancient god borders, and it just happens
Sure.
to fit into the United States and then in Japan. Like it doesn't necessarily, they're not like thinking to themselves like, oh, this country is representing this sacrifice. Like they just might be like, here's one, you can do one over here, over here. I wonder if you look at them on a map if they draw anything, the countries
Maybe.
that they listed. Like if it makes like a pentagram or something, that'd be fun.
Or there's some like extra secret meeting that like, never mind. I don't get into it. But where were we? So they're down in the basement of oddities, and it has all sorts of things. And each of them are drawn to a different item,
Hmm.
and it looks like about all of them are about to activate something.
Yeah.
Um, you've got Jules who's about to put on like the necklace
Hmm.
from that bride and bride's dress. So
Yeah.
I'm sure something was gonna fucking happen. You got Chris Hemsworth with the conch shell.
So
Conch
close.
conch shell is a hard thing to say.
Yeah.
So close. Yeah, Bradley Whitford was pissed. He really wanted that merman to
That
show up.
merman. Yeah.
But I'm like, hold on, is this a freshwater merman? Can
I mean,
mermen be
he'd
freshwater?
have to be.
I always think of them as like salt water, so I
I
just
always
don't
think
know.
of them
Like,
as saltwater as well, but I think that's just because of the Little Mermaid.
yeah, well, in all general mermaid lore, I would think, right? I don't know if freshwater mermaids are a thing, nor do I care to look it up.
Yeah.
So, but before any of that can happen, Dana beats them all to it and starts reading from the Buckner's diary.
Hmm.
Um, or it's a victim of the Buckners, I'm sure. It's like one of the kids,
It's
I think, their
the
diary, the
daughter.
daughters.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, the last one that's remaining at the end there.
Patience.
Um, And again, it's like, so I guess has she been getting dumb gas?
Yeah, they
Like,
all are. Like it's in the vents.
yeah, because
So it's like in the air vents, like that they're giving them something that's making them very like it seems like they're lowering their inhibitions, their decision-making skills have decreased. It's like a airborne alcohol that isn't making them drunk, but like foggy.
so they're kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It's
Almost
mm,
like it almost feels like hypnosis because that would almost be more believable to me because of the way that it like whispers things to them. Like Marty hears voices in the basement and none of them are aware of the voices. It's
right.
only him. So it feels like hypnosis in the way that you could like tell them to do something and they're under some influence and do it. I'll tell you right now, if I saw all that shit in the basement, that would have gotten me out of there real quick. If the basement door flying up didn't, I'd be like, mm-mm, all this shit is haunted. We're out. We're fucking out.
Oh my God, they have the little like psychic like machine thing, you know?
Ugh,
It's there in the back corner. I'm like, no
that's
fucking
always a
thank
bad
you.
sign. Yeah.
Always a bad sign. But then Jesus, like fucking Dana, so fucking dumb. You
You're gonna
idiot.
read Latin? You never read Latin.
You never,
Everyone knows
ever
that. Everybody fucking knows that. If
stop
yeah,
it.
like if the Evil Dead didn't teach you anything, but we don't read Latin out loud, especially.
And do you think these Buckners like knew Latin as well to write this down? I don't know. Maybe I missed that part, but
Well,
they
they were
do.
very like uber religious.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. But it does bring them back to life.
Hmm.
You know, this summons them, even though like does it well, oh, it doesn't really summon them. Like she picks the book, finishes it, and then they get the okay, like, whoop, now we can let it out of its cage to
Hmm.
burst out and this family of zombie rednecks to come attack them.
Yeah.
The new guy, you know, he's still getting some more exposition on like, hey, here's how all this is supposed to
Yeah.
work. Like, you know, they choose it, this and this and this and that. Um, you do see how Japan's doing, you know, with I
Yeah.
did like that the scene with like in the classroom with all the schoolgirls and shit, and that ghost just floating around.
Oh yeah, everything from them is so good. Yeah. They're just all
Yeah,
screaming, running around. Yeah.
it's
So
really
when
good.
this is so when they win um when they say that maintenance and Ronald the intern win the bet, that's when they show us the full board of things. I do feel like there's more things at the end of this movie, but I took a picture of it. Do you want me to read all of the things?
Sure.
I can go through them quickly, but
Okay.
there's some funny ones on here. So we have werewolf, alien beast, mutants, wraiths, zombies, reptilius. I don't know what that is.
Lizard like.
Okay. Clowns, witches, sexy witches, two different types of witches.
Love that.
I like that too. I would have liked to have seen the sexy witches because we don't see any witches. Demons, Hell Lord, angry molesting tree, another reference to
Evil
Evil
Dead, yeah.
Dead, giant snake, deadites, Kevin, just Kevin. I
The
love
intern?
that. No, his name's Ronald.
Oh, whatever.
But Kevin is one of the monsters. Mummy, the bride, the scarecrow folk, snowman, dragon bat, vampires, dismemberment goblins, sugar plum fairy, merman, the reanimated. Oh, that's a fun one. Where am I? Unicorn. What is the Huron? The Huron? Huron? I don't know what that is.
I did not know.
All right. Sasquatch, Wendigo, and Yeti are all in the same line.
All very different. Sasquatch, Wendigos, and Yetis.
Yeah. You
Hmm.
got dolls. That would have been a fun one. The Doctors, Zombie Redneck Torture Family, Jack-o'-lantern, Giant, and Twins. I think that's a pretty fun variety.
I think it would have been fun if they included one or two of the 13 ghosts.
They could have they like there are things also that you see I think that aren't on this list too. Like those the strangers looking folks.
Right. Yeah, with like the porcelain masks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the list.
And the giant cobra.
Oh yeah, that's not on there. Maybe that's Reptilius.
Hmm. Good point.
Yeah.
So back at the cabin, Jules is being a little much.
I
She
love it.
is getting real touchy-feely with everybody.
Uh-huh. Just dancing, ready to do a full-on striptease on that fireplace.
Because is that's how it always is in those movies where you just
Yep.
at this point there's just one woman who's just dancing, just really feeling herself in the corner and just
By
being like, I'm just
herself.
feeling, yeah.
Yeah. No one
Um,
does that. I do like that Kurt, like his behavior has changed so too. Like he's just like kind of dancing in the background behind the couch. He takes a shot and he's like, "Fuck yeah, baby."
yeah.
I love it because like I think we've seen more exaggerated versions of that like in some of the movies that we've watched.
Oh yeah, maybe getting like a little like veering towards Ryan Philippe from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yes.
Yeah. I think also maybe wearing a white tank top. I can't remember if that's what he was wearing. I can't,
Underneath the
but
Letterman jacket, he is, which I think Ryan Felipe also wears in I Know What You Did
there you
Last
go.
Summer. Ooh, that's a good. I didn't really make that connection.
So Kurt's like, "Hey, let's go outside because the safe, as we all know, going outside in the middle of the woods is the safest place to have sex with somebody.
I, like, you have this whole haunted ass cabin. Why do you need to go fuck in the woods?
Yeah, you got all these rooms. It's a real
There's so
roomy
many
place.
rooms, so much privacy. They could go all the way to the back room.
And if you don't want privacy, you've got the one-way mirror.
Yeah, there you go. See? Options.
So they head off into the woods, and this will be the last time a lot of that group will see Jules.
Oh man.
Marty notices something's off. He's like, hold on.
Hmm.
I know hearing voices, and are people acting like really different than they used to be? Like, I know
Yeah.
these people, now they're being very different. Um, Dane is like, dude, your weed's too strong, man. You're
Hmm.
don't worry, man. You're fine.
Which is
You're,
fair because he keeps saying puppeteers and she says puppeteers and he says Pop Tarts. Did you say Pop Tarts? And so that in
yeah.
itself, you're like, he is still really high.
So we go off into the woods with Kurt and Jules.
Mhm.
Um, and this is when it just gets like a little like ugh, it's a little gross,
Okay, hear
but
me out though. Hear me out.
yeah,
Don't think of just Jules specifically. Think about the entire situation. It's a whole fucked up situation because they're drugging
yes,
all of them and swaying their behavior against their will, even though they have free will. Like, these are terrible people that are running this ritual. What they're doing is inherently wrong. If anything, they should have willing sacrifices instead of just picking people out of the blue and then drugging them. So I just want to
yeah.
preface with that.
Y'all don't want to put out like a Craigslist ad first, like just to see like, hey, can is someone willing to do this first?
There's always people out there that would be like, you know what, the greater good. Let's do
There's
it.
always some fucker on the
Yes.
internet that's down to join your cult.
Yes,
100%.
exactly. They could totally just make it into a cult.
The difference with Jules is that they drug her for the purpose to make her have sex with somebody.
She is actively already fucking Kurt. They are a consenting couple.
Yes, but you come on, that's their intent though. They
Well,
have to
yeah,
just why is she designated as the whore? Where is
well, I mean, it
Dana?
had to be one of them.
Does it have to be a woman,
They don't specify that. But
right?
it looks like a woman in the illustrations are very clearly gendered.
Right. Yeah, they've got little boobs and stuff and they're
Yeah, they and like
little
just
drawing.
the curvation of the bodies and everything. But I'll tell you right now, I would not need pheromones or drugs to get in that wood in those woods with Chris Hemsworth. Absolutely not.
Do you have that
Hmm.
in your notes? I'm sure you
Yeah,
do.
I do. I thought about it. I thought it, and I was like, this is important for everyone to know.
I like those I don't even know what you call them, but like those like giant like stone tablets that like fill with blood when they kill somebody.
Yes.
Um the virgin one is just a woman and she's just like covering up her like crotch with her hands.
Yeah.
Like, no, thank
Well,
you.
I like the one for
Not for
Jules
me, please.
because I like the one for Jules because the blood comes down from the top of her hair, like where the hair dye would have been like going into her brain. So I thought that was kind of fun.
Mm,
Yeah. But yeah, they do the egregious nudity thing, and I think we clearly disagree. You always know I love nudity. I love the way that they played it. I thought they played it really well.
she initially is like, it's too cold. Let's just go back to the cabin. Let's do this. And then they're like, ooh, come on, let's pump up the temperature, which they
They
like,
put it to 75.
I know, like from
I'm
like
still not
50 to
getting naked in the
75.
woods.
Yeah.
At
No, thank you.
75? No.
And then start pumping like more pheromones like from the trees.
Yeah.
Um, so well, pretty date rapey. Very date rapey. So,
For both of them.
and they don't even get to fuck because they are attacked by the Buckners.
I know they could have at
Um,
least let them, get started.
like finish and then be like, ah,
Yeah.
all right.
Why
And
not?
then she gets the thing through her hand.
Hmm.
She gets it rough. Like Chris Hemsworth just gets knocked around a little bit. I mean, he
Yeah.
does get stabbed at some point and he pulls it out of his back or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah, he tries to help but can't do it, and they fucking get Jules and they pull out that big old rusty saw that I guess they were buried with, and they just fucking take her head right off. Jules is dead.
Yeah, I feel bad for, I think Jules probably gets it the worst because she's the most aware that she's going to die for the longest amount of time. And she gets that stab through the hand. Like, that's real rough. And the way that
And she's topless.
yeah, like you knew something was going to happen to her hand when they have that long shot on her hand in the moss. But I
Yeah.
thought that actually, for how silly the movie had been leading up to this point, I was surprised how brutal that whole sequence is. So they really like kind of set the stage for like, yeah, it's gonna get pretty crazy.
And even as pervy and awful and creepy as they were, like you almost have like this kind of moment where you like kind of, I think, are supposed to not like understand or relate with or like empathize with Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford, but like
Hmm.
afterwards, like when Jules is dead, they go and they pull a lever. You realize that they're pulling one of these to activate this ritual. They pull one for every single person that dies,
Hmm.
and they it gets real quiet after she's killed, and
Hmm.
they do a prayer. You see they got the little necklaces with that little symbol
Hmm.
on it. They see on the platform at the end, and see, it's almost like they're like, okay, like almost for a second, they are taking this seriously, like
It's like the only second that they take it seriously, really.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even like as they're like about to die and being killed, I think even still they're being silly about the whole thing. So
Hmm.
yeah, so you have that, which I thought like maybe if there's like a little bit more of that, um, like
The
just
only other
them
time
wrestling with it too. I don't know.
The only other time that they give you a little bit of that is right before, I'm sorry, right after Dana accidentally stabs Richard Jenkins in the hallway and he's like looks at her and is like, you need to kill him. Like, because even though he's made light out of this situation and like they're, complete dicks, I mean, you kind of would have to be in that line of work, I would think. Um,
By him, he means he's referring to Marty
he's
in that
referring to
scene.
Marty, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that at that point he is taking it seriously because now he's realizing like, okay, it's out of his hands because he's dead. So he's like trying to pass some message to her. I think it feels like one of those things where for them, it's almost like organized religion because if this has gone well for them every single year, which presumably it has, they may not even actually know if the consequences are that dire. Like they're just taking it on faith that they need to do this ritual in order to keep these gods from rising. But
Right.
how would they know that that's actually a consequence? So it does feel like a religious practice that they're doing assuming that they're doing the right thing. So their morality, I think, is worse than questionable, you know, but they take it seriously for a moment.
Back at the cabin, Marty's still hearing voices being like, go on a walk, go outside.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can't control me. I'm in control of my own brain. I'm gonna go on a walk. Oh, that was
Yeah.
kind of funny.
Yeah, I thought that's cute.
Um, Dana and Holden are making out. I don't know, like, so pheromones make you extra horny, sure.
Mhm.
Whatever they're giving Dana, because remember, like, they're about to like make out, or they are making out,
Mhm.
and she's like, she's about to say, like, oh, well, I've never done, wait, yeah, I have, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
she's like, yeah.
So, like, what's the like virginal drug that, like,
That well, and also Holden is getting smarter.
yeah,
So he wasn't wearing glasses, so that you once he puts on glasses, he's smarter.
Right,
But
right.
he also all of a sudden remembers Latin that he hadn't known since 10th grade, he said, that he just picked back up on it because he was reading the journal, which I don't know why you'd still be reading that fucking journal.
Stop it.
Yeah, just leave that shit alone. But yeah, I mean, the science of it doesn't really need to make sense.
Not for this movie.
No.
So, their piece does not last very long. Marty's outside. He hears some noises. It's that little Buckner girl coming up
Oh,
behind him.
I love that shot of her coming up behind him and then he looks back and she's not there and then she's
Yeah.
just coming back into the frame. That's a pretty fun shot. And it also like if it were in any other movie and the music, like the score was a little bit different,
Hmm.
it would be scary.
He gets saved by Kurt, who I don't know if like intentionally. He just runs up. He's like, "Get the fuck out of the way. Let's go to the cabin. Let's go, 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 go." Because
Just
he's been running
clotheslines
from.
the little girl.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. And then they make
Dead
it back
bitch.
into. Yeah,
He says.
they get back into the cabin. Um, manage to barricade the door, but not before one of these Buckners takes Jules' severed head and throws it to be
I
caught
love
by
it.
Dana. It's a pretty good head.
It is. It looks really good. I put the same thing. I said that's a really good head.
Yeah. So you can tell, of course, like, the dumb drugs are really like seeping in. Because like at first, Kurt is like, okay, I'm gonna take lead. Here's our plan. We're gonna do this and this and this. We stick
Hmm.
together. We do not split up. That is absolutely something you never do in horror movies. And
Hmm.
then they start walking down the hallway, and then that like extra like puff goes through the vent that he starts breathing in. And then all of a
Hmm.
sudden he's like, ooh, yeah, we should split up. And everyone's like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? And he's like, yeah, we should split up. And everyone's like, yeah, yeah, we should
Yeah.
split up. Let's do it. Even though
Hmm.
Holden's getting smarter, he's like also like, yeah, sure.
Well, he
Let's do
still, you
that.
see him do like a deep inhale too when he like says like that's a good idea. Like they're all inhaling whatever is coming out in that hallway.
Right.
Yeah.
So, um, they end up splitting up into different rooms. And I think this is when Marty realizes that there is a camera watching the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
So he's like, fuck, I fucking knew it. God damn it. Um, then he gets attacked through the window by
Yeah.
at least
I
one of
like
these families.
I like that he thinks that he's on TV though, because if I were in that situation, that would be my greatest hope that this is some really terrible prank.
Yeah, the Ashton Kutcher is just gonna pop out and be like,
Yeah.
ah, I got you. See what you did.
Punked.
Um, and it doesn't work that way because
Mm-mm.
he gets attacked. He gets attacked through the window. I forget. Does he get dragged out of the window, or he like gets out and starts running, and then that's when he gets like they throw like a dagger or something, gets him in the back, and that's
Yeah,
when they start dragging him off.
yeah, that's exactly how it happens. But yeah, he gets that like dagger like right, looks like right in the spine, but obviously it
Oof.
didn't hit him right in the spine, but that shit looks painful. They do a lot of backstabbing in this movie.
Yeah. They then this is when he's dragged off screen, and then you hear like that like squelching of blood, and then
Hmm.
there's that honestly like the worst shot. I don't know why I remember this shot in particular, but you just have that like spurt of like very fake CGI blood
Yeah.
that just shoots up in the air, and you're like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Um,
There's some good CGI in this, and there's some really bad CGI in this. Did you think Marty was dead? I did, and I was very upset the first time I watched it.
uh, I think so. Probably at first. I
Hmm.
think so. But I mean, obviously this time, but I didn't. It's just whenever you have any sort of off-screen death like that, you're like, I'm not
Hmm.
buying it.
Hmm.
Because that's the thing. It's either he's still alive or this movie loses half a boo. Because I fucking hate off-screen deaths like
Well,
that.
and that's the thing. If you hadn't, because he's the second one to supposedly die, you don't know what the other kills are going to be like. So you're like, oh, maybe Jules was like the most brutal one, and now like they're gonna do these half-ass kills.
Well, Jules was the most brutal one.
Yeah.
Back at the cabin, we're assuming that Marty's dead at this point.
Hmm.
Um, Dana and Holden are in their rooms. They're like, oh yeah, huh, we've got that glass fake mirror. So let's burst that through so we can both get into the same room. And then this is when they find another goddamn door to the basement that's in the fucking floor.
I
God
don't know
damn
that I
it.
would want to go in there.
I'm like, I'm not going down a second one. I already did one. We're not doing that. But
Yeah.
because that one leads to their fucking rusty torture section of the
But at least
basement.
there's weapons in there.
At least, right? Which I mean, they're able
Yeah.
to use because Dana and Holden get down there. Um, the dude with the bear trap on the chain, that's fucked up. That gets Holden, starts
Oh,
trying to pull him back up.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah,
Bear
I thought
traps.
Hol
We just talked about bear traps with
oh,
Leprechaun on the
yeah,
back.
on
Oh,
the back, that's awful. And I thought Holden was gonna die here, but
me too.
Dana is able to save the day, and I
Hmm.
guess she's the only one that kills any of these fuckers.
Yeah.
Because I guess they can die, but you just have to like stab them a
Oh, that's not true.
bunch.
Marty kills one too in the elevator thing.
Oh, right.
Hmm.
Okay. So the one that drags him off, he's able to kill that
Yeah.
one, but I think Dana gets the others.
She gets the big
Um,
guy.
yeah. So they're able to get free. Kurt's able to get through. They meet him in the basement because he's able to get down into the basement as well through the other way.
Hmm.
And then they're able to escape out some sort of, what do you call that door that like,
I don't
it's like
know.
that you like can come out through basements on. It's like kind of like
They're like
diagonal.
on the like they're in a lot of horror movies,
Yeah.
but you don't see them a lot in real life, at least in the states we live in. Um, I don't know what those doors are called.
They managed to escape in the Winnebago. They started driving off. Now, normally this wouldn't be maybe as big a deal, but checking with Japan, seeing how they're doing.
Ooh.
Ugh, those fucking feisty little Japanese schoolgirls were able
Oh,
to come together.
they got it.
N- No fatalities, Natalie. Not a
Yeah.
single one. And they were all able to work together and fuck that little ghost girl up and turn her
Yeah,
into a
they
little toad.
yeah, they did a whole like cute little ritual and turned her into a toad and they were like, "Oh, it's a happy frog." And
I love that.
yeah, I thought that was so cute. Yeah. I just love him screaming at the TV, "Fuck you" to all the little girls.
I would have loved to watch some 15 or 20-minute version of that, like whatever's just going on,
Yeah.
and how they were able to figure that out and do that
Yeah.
chant. They do their own ritual right back at them to stop this
Yes.
ghost,
Yeah,
which is
good for
pretty
them.
rad. Um, so now Japan has failed, and
Hmm.
we knew Stockholm failed.
Mm.
All the other places have failed. I think one place had like a King Kong, one
Yeah.
place had like a Dracula situation.
Yeah.
Um, so it's only the US left. So if they do not succeed here in killing these kids in this right order,
They're
human race
fucked.
is fucked.
Hmm.
Super fucked. Our alleged remaining survivors. Marty's still alive, everybody. Um, Holden, Kurt, and Dana, they're driving the
Hmm.
Winnebago the fuck out of there. The tunnel was supposed to have been blown up long
Probably
before.
hours ago.
Yeah. And then they realized, oh, fuck, who's in charge of blowing up the tunnel? Fuck. Was it you, Rick? I don't know. Was it you, Larry? I don't know. What's just blow the fucking thing up though.
Yeah.
So they just they're really getting desperate here because they start
Yeah.
really making it very obvious that there is something else involved with what's going on, and it's not strictly like this family that they've conjured from the dead that's killing them, right? There's some
Hmm.
sort of controlling situation.
Yeah, because they
um
said something got rewired from upstairs. And that's when
right,
they get like more hands-on, like he's running towards demolition to like get it done himself.
right.
Hmm.
So they blow up the tunnel, so the three in the Winnebago are unable to get through, so they have to
Hmm.
back out. And they're like, fuck, how the fuck we get out of here? Remember that eagle from earlier, Natalie?
I sure do.
Oh boy.
I love this whole dirt bike situation.
It's so dumb the way it's
It's
shot. And the way it's
it's so great. Like just because they go out of their way to do these like cheesy like line deliveries too, where Holden says,
right.
"Don't hold back," and Kurt says, "I never do."
Yeah, I know. I was like, are
I
you all
love
gonna
it.
kiss right now?
Yeah, I love it. I was like, gosh, they're really close in a short amount of time.
Um, Kurt's like, hey, I'm gonna take this dirt bike we've got on the Winnebago, and there's a pretty, pretty reasonable gap, but one I think I can jump on this bike to get from this road to the road on the other side of this tunnel.
Hmm.
So it's a whole thing, all the inspiring music just starts swelling up. And then it's this like almost like it's almost cartoonish
It
how
is.
how high he's able to go and like leap
Yeah.
across this thing, and then immediately just fucking face plants and falls to his death.
Oh, yeah.
Um, it's the first time watching it because I think I maybe forgot about the
Oh, I
bird.
totally forgot about the bird by that point of
So
the
it's
movie. I was
probably shocking at
like, because I
first,
was like,
right?
really, he's not gonna make it. So you don't think he's gonna make it, but you definitely don't think he's gonna hit a fucking force field of a wall.
Right. So Kurt's dead. Very dead.
Hmm.
Goodbye, Kurt. And then Dina starts to slowly realize, fuck, Marty was right. They're
Yeah.
puppeteers. We're the puppets.
Hmm.
Not in a fun way.
No.
Holden's like, hey, let's we got some lemons,
Let's
but you know
regroup.
what? Let's make some lemonade out of this. I think we can still make this happen. You're real cute. I'm
Yeah.
real cute. As far as I'm concerned, us two left alive, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Fuck everybody else. And we're gonna be okay. I just need you to be on my side, and we
Hmm.
got this. Let's get back in the Winnebago and let's regroup.
His
Um,
plan is pretty solid considering their options.
well, it's either like, well, we can just go into the woods as far as we can and just start walking as far as we can, and then it's, I don't think I could come up with anything else other than the
I'd be
stuff that he was proposing.
terrified to walk past a certain point after seeing what happened to Kurt, though. Like, I'd be throwing sticks every like couple feet just to see if a fucking wall's gonna show up, right? Like,
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, it's a learning moment. Just don't
yeah,
drive. Yeah, I'd be worried just about driving anything that fast in general because I'm like, when do you know you're gonna hit a wall and then you'll
uh-huh.
just fucking launch out the fucking
Crash.
windshield, right? Like
Yeah,
fuck that.
scary.
Um, they never find out
Mm-mm.
because one of these Buckners, one of the big boy Buckners, is inside that Winnebago and fucking
He's just
puts
been quiet
his
the whole time on the way there.
good for him to be like just sit real still, be real quiet. That's brilliant.
Mhm.
It's a good talent. But he's able to get up right behind Holden and just stick a fucking blade right through his fucking neck. Holden is
Mhm.
dead.
Another
Uh
good surprise.
yeah. Which crashes, the Winnebago goes into the lake. Dana's still in there. She's alive. She comes to. She's able to get a little bit of air in what's left inside the RV. She's breaking her way out. Of course, like, one of the Buckners is in there. The one that's in there is right, trying to
Hmm.
grab her feet, trying to keep her in, but she's been like, yeah, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, kick him in the fucking head, and is able to get free. Then you have that like weird, like real big wide shot of like her, swimming up to the surface.
Hmm.
And I just have no idea like the geography of this area because she's able to get right back to the dock where they were swimming at much earlier in the movie.
Well, like I wonder too, like how they expect her to get out of this situation.
I don't think they care at this point because
Well, they said she could survive as long as she like went through it, but how long could she possibly survive being trapped in that little force fielded area?
I think that's the thing is
About
like
as long as an
maybe
eagle.
I would imagine that if they were able to complete the ritual, they would turn off the force field and be like, yeah,
Hmm.
she can figure it out. She can get out. Cool. If not,
Who
that
cares?
sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, who cares? So allegedly, Dana is the only one alive. Remember, Marty's still alive, but
Hmm.
everybody else thinks that Dan is the only one left. And as far as everyone's considered, like, hey, they've done it, you know. The Jules died first. Who cares how the others die, but they needed to die. And then you've got Dana left, who they don't care if she's alive or not. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
They've already kind of met it. So everyone's popping champagne, getting the tequila out, having a
Mm-hmm.
great time. And then this is when we get that call. Who's on that call again? Is that Sigourney Weaver calling on that
I'm
red phone?
assuming it's Sigourney Weaver. Like that red phone obviously is only called in an emergency.
And that's the thing. Like Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford are like only like almost like sad for a moment, like after Jules is killed. But like
Mm-hmm.
they'll have this office party as on all the screens in the background, you're seeing by the way, Dana does make it back to the dock, but then gets attacked again immediately and is just getting like the fucking
Yeah.
shit beaten out of her.
Yeah, they're just
Uh,
throwing her around.
and they don't care. They're just like, oh, hey, we already got what we wanted, so let's celebrate. And then you
Hmm.
have all these like awkward like office party interactions where like
Hmm.
some guys like you got your intern, right? What's his name?
Yeah.
Not Kevin.
Ronald
Ronald, that's it.
talking
um
about his that he doesn't qualify for overtime because he's an intern.
and then you have the one guy who like tries to like flirt and like make a move on somebody, be like, oh, I got concert tickets or
Hmm.
something like that. And it's like
Hmm.
all of this like I'm very fortunate that like I've never like worked in like that sort of like office vibe where they have those sorts
Yeah.
of things. Like, oh, no, thank you. Not like I
Yeah.
don't mean like where they have the sorts of like ritualistic killings, but where they
Yeah.
have these like
Thank goodness.
forced, after work parties and stuff. Like, oh, Jesus, no fucking
Yeah.
thank you.
I like that they have they go back to these very basic office type interactions because it, there's something about it that I really enjoy of just seeing this being like their normal everyday life and them just,
Right.
being so callous about it and they get to live on because they sacrifice these kids without, you know, obviously without them choosing. But yeah, I enjoy that they go back to this office party. It's just kind of business as usual.
So like I was saying, they get that call on that red phone, they answer, and who we think is Sigourney Weaver on the other side is saying, hey y'all are not fucking done yet. Don't let
Hmm.
this girl get fucking beaten to death because there's someone else left alive. And they go, who the fuck is still alive? It's your favorite, Marty to the rescue, using
Hmm.
his extendable bong mug, able to hit the shit out of the what we think is the remaining Buckner from the back of the head,
Hmm.
to buy some time. We have two survivors now, Natalie. Two.
Hmm.
I think, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, fuck Marty.
Now at this point, okay, but at this point, Marty and Dana are both more like serious, like trying to survive. So a lot of now the comic relief isn't even coming from Marty anymore. Like now it's just coming from the ridiculousness of the situation once they release all the things. But um I think this is a good like character turn for him. And you know what? He's a bigger person because I would have been like, "I fucking told you so, bitch. I told you, puppeteers." And he didn't do that. So that was nice of him.
Speaking of bigger person, I was reading in the trivia that the scene where they all go swimming in the lake
Mm.
and he doesn't,
Yeah.
um, that was on purpose because the actor is actually super fucking ripped, like as much as
Oh,
the other guys. And they were like,
yeah, he is
and that's why
he's
they
in
put
good
him in
shape.
baggy
Yeah.
clothes, and they're
Yeah.
like,
He
so
always is like typecast as like a nerd, but yeah,
it's
he
like
is in really good
the
shape.
it's like the dude that played the Blue Ranger in the original Power Rangers again.
Yeah.
David Yost. He's like
Yeah.
Billy the nerd and shit, but he's like
Uh-huh.
just as fucking buff as the rest of them.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, I don't know, pretty fun. So,
I love it.
and I guess I don't know any sort of drugs that Dana was experiencing all seem to kind of go away. She seems to kind of just, yeah, she's
Yeah, it
come to her
seems like,
senses for a while now.
yeah, I mean, maybe because she was out in open air for. quite a while, and then after that, she's
But they pump it through the trees and shit too.
oh
Maybe just
yeah,
the
that's
pheromones they pump through the
true.
trees. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, she's definitely getting less of it than she was before.
So Marty leads her to the grave that the Buckners crawled out of, and she's like, "What the fuck? Why are we doing this?" And he's like, "No, no, no! I found this out when I was beating that one to fucking death."
Yeah.
And there is a tunnel that goes underground to this underground area that also leads to what they think is an elevator.
Hmm.
Um, this kind of like up and down, sideways Willy Wonka elevator that they're
Yeah.
on, which they then learn is not necessarily an elevator, so to speak. But this
A
is
storage unit.
it's like a storage unit, and there's like all these. They show like, yeah, I don't understand why they would do this, and like why they would have all the storage units like kind of just be moving around each other,
I wrote
and
that too. I was like, why are they always moving?
why are they always like, I don't know, why are the monsters able to see each other? And like, they're just
Because
getting all
okay,
riled up.
which is funny because I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, maybe they're moving all the time because they get like worked up when they're next to another one for too long. But then I was like, oh, but then why is it glass? Like we could have just solved that problem by, having it be opaque. Um, but I like the idea of the moving cubes and all the monsters, and I like them like coming face to face with some of them so they see, and then they zoom out and they show you how many of them there are, which is really fun. I like the giant spider too that they show. You don't see it again, I don't think.
Me too. As far as the creatures, it's that bat dragon that I like a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. There's a few good ones. But I kind of dig their version of Pinhead with the saw blades going through
Yeah.
his head. Um
Without the
he's
cube, it's the little sphere.
Yeah, he's got a spear instead.
Um, this is when they realize that kind of like Gozer and Ghostbusters, right? It's like they chose the form of their destructor. They
Hmm.
chose
Yeah.
whether it was the conch shell that would summon J. Edgar Hoover, or the, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. What can you
Hmm.
do? So at the office, they're all pissed that Marty's still alive. They realize like, oh, see, we've been pumping him with like a shit ton of chemicals, just like everybody else, if
Hmm.
not even a little more so. But turns out that his stash is even stronger than they
Yeah.
anticipated.
It's been making him immune.
So he's been immune, which is pretty funny.
I
Um,
think that's pretty fun. And it like makes things make sense that he wasn't like falling for all the things and he was hearing the voices that you were not supposed to be hearing. So I thought that was kind of fun.
right. They're able to make their way out of this like elevator cage.
Mhm.
They're confronted by a security guard. And again, at this point, like they're like all hands on deck. We need to make sure this happens because this dude needs to die. So like the guy shows up, he's got his gun pulled on him. They're able to get this gun from him, which is helpful. But he's like, hey, girl, you get out. He's planning to probably
He's
kill
gonna
Marty right
shoot
there.
Marty, yeah.
But there's a little Buckner zombie hand.
I love that the zombie hand helps them.
I like that the zombie hand helps them. And I like the shot of like they knock him out, right? And I don't think he's dead yet when
No,
he's on
he's
the
not
ground.
dead, but that zombie hand is crawling on his face. It's such a good shot. I love that.
Yeah,
And the elevator just closing because he's fucked. That hand is gonna tear him apart.
that's one of my favorite shots in the movie, definitely.
It's really good, yeah.
So now we hear Sigourney Weaver talking over the speakers, which really fucks me up because I guess it was like, I don't know, like Thanksgiving time where me and my brother-in-law and my nephew were all watching Wally,
Hmm.
which also has Sigourney Weaver as the like
Yeah.
overhead voice or
She's the
whatever.
computer. Yeah.
Yeah, so that really fucks me up, getting those wires crossed when they're
Hmm.
running
She has such
through.
a
And
great voice, though.
oh, she has such a great voice. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh.
I would love to
Uh,
listen to like a book on tape with her reading it.
I wonder if she's ever done that. They get actors to do that all the
Probably.
time.
She probably has.
She has a very soothing voice.
Very
Yeah.
distinct too.
Yeah, I think so too. Gosh, industry legend, Sigourney Weaver. Have you
Oh,
said
for
that yet?
sure. No,
Yeah.
because we haven't had a movie with her in it.
Can
This is
we
the
offer
first
like
one.
platinum double legend award?
I know. She's so
Right?
good. She's in so
She's
much good stuff.
I love her so much. Um I mean, gosh, especially even outside the horror stuff with like
Oh,
Ghostbusters,
yeah.
Alien, of course. Oh, oh fuck, she's so cool. So, um she's saying
Galaxy
it's for the greater
Quest.
good. Galaxy Quest is so fucking
Hmm.
good.
So
Um
good.
my favorite Tim Allen movie, but I don't think that is a high bar
I don't
to
think that's a
jump.
hot take at all.
Unless you like want to like talk like the Toy Story movies, you
Hmm.
know,
I'd
sure.
still put Galaxy Quest before that.
I think I would too. If someone said
Mhm.
like, "Hey, you get a chance to watch one like Toy Story or Galaxy Quest," I think I'd pick Galaxy Quest.
Such a fun cast.
Oh, so good. That is a stacked cast. That is as stacked
Hmm.
as you can stack a cast
Oh,
is
yeah.
Galaxy Quest. I wish that movie was even slightly horror in any
I
way.
know. I was just thinking, I was like, how could we swing it? I mean, there's aliens.
There you go. Right. I'm just gonna say it scared me. Um, so Sigourney Weaver saying like, "Hey, this is all for the greater good. This guy needs to die. Like Marty needs to die, especially because
Hmm.
they don't care. And that's the thing, they don't fucking care what happens to Dana.
At this point, they'd have to kill her, though.
She's learned too much, and I think
Yeah.
so. I think they would have
I
to,
would know I was
but
dead anyway.
they managed to lock themselves in some sort of control room, and then they're
Hmm.
getting surrounded by basically like the fucking SWAT team at this point, like all like the military folk with their machine guns and shit.
Yeah. They're shooting a
Um,
little too carelessly, though, considering they need to kill them in a specific order.
right.
I
They
thought they were
needed
just letting bullets fly too much.
again, it's a desperation. They're just like,
Yeah.
um, now Dana's like, I got an idea. I all of a sudden know how to work this control console.
There's a giant
Um,
button that says release all. Why does that
yeah,
exist?
why does that exist?
It's
And
not
why would you,
locked.
yeah, why would you put it like one of those little like plastic cases on it? Like,
Someone should
something.
have like it should be a double key situation where like, have you ever seen like lock boxes where like one person has a key and the other person has a key and you have to turn them at the same time? It needs that type of situation because that we see all the carnage it causes. You can't just have a fucking big ass red button just exposed. What if you like drop your coffee?
100%.
Everybody's fucking dead.
I'm not arguing with you 100%. But so she presses this button and they're like, fuck, why
Oh,
did
I
we make
love
that
it.
button? All the monsters get let loose. And then this is probably save for some of the shoddy CGI, some of
Yeah.
it's a victim of just being,
Yeah.
15 years old. But this is probably the most bonkers fun part of the movie is watching all of
Yeah.
this happen.
Those
Um,
monsters take that SWAT team down so fucking fast. It's like in less than
immediately.
a second. There is
Yeah.
that like flying devil that's in the background holding that guy up, and he eventually throws him like at the camera. I really love that little bit there too.
They get fucked, every single one of them.
Yeah, there's so much fun stuff going on.
Dana and Marty are able to escape that bat dragon we were talking about and just watch, and then just running through, just watching everybody just get decimated. And I
Yep.
appreciate this because it's like, it's that kitchen sink approach, Let's just throw every fucking
Uh-huh.
ghost and ghoul and goblin and let's just fucking I don't know. I
See what
liked
happens.
watching everyone just get murdered. I love watching the blood just getting spattered everywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
And I like that they get to watch all of them die because they were all watching them and their friends be attacked and get killed.
right. Love that. Full circle.
Hmm.
Um, the monsters also break through to that kind of bunker control room where Richard Jenkins, um,
Hmm.
Amy Acker, new guy, Bradley
Yeah.
Whitford are all at. Um, this is pretty fun. I love that monster that kills Bradley Whitford, and then like out of its like blowhole, it
It's
spurts
the
the blood.
merman.
That's the merman, right? Oh yeah,
That's what he
right.
wanted was the merman. So that's why he's like, "Oh, come on," when he sees him, but like he mentions casually earlier. Richard Jenkins says that they're messy, like the cleanup is a lot. So it's fun to
Yeah.
see it's a blowhole. Is that what you would call that? Like the
Yeah.
blowhole, just like the blood just coming out of it. Oh, I love that. I thought that was so fun. And I think the merman looks pretty fucking good because he's practical effects.
The zombies go after the new guy, Truman. So
Hmm.
he has a grenade, he blows himself up.
Hmm.
And then I forget, like something with tentacles comes down and eats the woman and just pulls her
Oh
up.
yeah, that's fun. Hmm.
She's dead. Richard Jenkins, he thinks he's almost in the clear. He's trying to escape.
Yeah,
Goes and turns a corner. Bam, just gets stabbed right through the fucking chest by
by Dana.
Dana. By Dana.
Hmm.
And then, like you were saying earlier, this is his kind of last plea of like just begging her, like, you gotta kill him. He needs to die.
Hmm.
And she's like, maybe. I'll let you
She
know.
does in that moment, she's looking like, damn, like that's like the second person that was trying to kill Marty. Like, is there something to this?
Right. So at this point, they're able to it's this new pathway they were able to get towards, um, and they're able to make go further down
Yeah.
and then into this temple situation.
Hmm.
And then on the platform is the
That
symbol that's
symbol.
on the necklaces that they have that they're praying to. So they're like,
Hmm.
okay, this is where
She starts putting
this
pieces
is,
together real quick.
yeah. And she's like, yep, these, carvings in the stone, like that's each of us.
Hmm.
Uh, and then I think this is when Sigourney Weaver arrives. And
Yes.
I think we see her like in person, right?
Love that.
And then explains the archetypes again, like saying, like, no, we've got, the whore, we've got the virgin, we've got the nerd and the jock and the fool or the stoner or
Hmm.
whatever. Dana again, she's just like, I'm not a virgin. Um,
Yeah.
it's when like, yeah,
We
Sigourney
work
was like,
with what we got.
you work with what we got. To which I'm like, yeah,
You
again,
could
like
find
he's
a
got
virgin.
right. So it reminds me a little bit of Leslie Vernon. Where you're like, I don't know, like, well, I guess he was already always picking the virgin originally, but you're supposed to be
Hmm.
trick thinking that like the virgin that he thought he picked
Yes.
wasn't
Yes.
actually kind of situation.
Hmm.
So, um, again, another movie that, well, if we're comparing the two, and y'all know I don't really like that movie very much, the Leslie Vernon movie, but um, if I do like this movie at least as I like it better than that one when it comes
Hmm.
to on the nose,
Hmm.
slasher tropes.
I would hope so. I think this one is much more clever.
Yeah. And so Sigourney Weaver explains how, they're supposed to die in the order again. And then she again says, like, hey, Marty's got to die.
Hmm.
Um, Dana's got the gun and she just points it at Marty. And
All
she's like,
right.
I'm sorry.
Let's play a game.
Yeah.
If
Me?
this were the situation, yeah.
Oh,
If
I'd
this
kill
were
you
the
immediately.
situation, you would kill me to save the world, knowing that she's probably gonna kill you right afterwards. You're not getting out of there.
True. Okay, so I'd shoot Sigourney Weaver first and then I'd kill him.
Yeah, I'd kill you too.
Yeah. So, um, but Marty, Marty's like, fuck you, Dana.
Yeah,
I like that. Um, I like how Marty doesn't even consider for half a second, like, well,
maybe I should just let her kill
maybe I should
me.
sacrifice myself for the sake of the human race. But like, I
Hmm.
mean, even at the beginning, like when they're on their way to the cabin, the very beginning of the movie, when he's like rolling joints, he's like talking about like, fuck the human race, they've had their chance, or like
Hmm.
maybe we just need to blow up and start over, which I'm like, it's a little much.
Feels like a
But
lot. But I mean, if it's you at that
mm,
point, if I were Marty specifically, I
uh-huh.
absolutely would be like, peace out to all of you. You're gonna go down with me. I'm not staying here. If it were me,
Yeah.
I probably would sacrifice myself at that point. But as Marty, yeah, fuck all them.
So Marty also sees a werewolf coming up closer behind
I love
Dana,
that.
and I like how Marty's like, I can say shit.
Yep,
Fuck you.
good, good.
And then Dana starts getting mauled by this
Oh
werewolf.
yeah, it's tearing her the fuck up.
Oh yeah. fight ensues. Of course, you've got like the gun getting kicked around left and right. You've got Sigourney Weaver, putting up a pretty good fight against this guy.
Hmm.
Um,
She's kicking his ass in a fucking skirted business suit.
oh yeah, and she gets the upper hand, gets the gun, and she's ready to kill him.
Hmm.
At this point, we've got one last little Buckner that's made its way down there. It's the little girl from the
Hmm.
beginning. Love her. Just love a good axe right through the head. Just that thunk
Hmm. Oh
sound.
yeah, it's good. And
That's
she's the
good.
same little girl, the actress who's in Silent Hill.
Oh, really? Oh, good for her.
Mm,
I need to watch that one again.
me too. I usually enjoy it for the most part.
Yeah. So Sigourney Weaver's dead. And I don't know how they get rid of that last Buckner girl or the werewolf. I don't know. But at this point,
They
you
kick
have
he kicks the Buckner girl off the
off the
like
ledge.
side more than he
Got
does.
it.
And the werewolf
So,
too, I think.
okay. So you got like earth's quaking and shit, like shit's brewing underneath. Like, so whatever's happening, like, and whatever needs to happen fast. Otherwise, like,
Hmm.
it's looking like, oh, okay, looking like there are some angry gods and they're gonna be even angrier. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I like how at that point the both of them are just like,
Why not?
fuck our families, fuck children, fuck the human race,
Hmm.
fuck, we've already killed enough eagles, you know.
They're
Um,
they're already close to extinction.
and they're just it's so wild that conversation because they're just either like, someone else deserves a shot.
It's
If we're
just of
willing to do
no
this,
it's of no consequence to them. Like they're college students who are gonna
yeah,
die anyway. Like they're not gonna have to see the aftermath of it. That's why I said as Marty, I would have done the same thing. But as myself, knowing that my son is on this earth, I would sacrifice myself. But any other circumstance, absolutely not. Everybody can go.
yeah. And they're the only thing they really regret is like, oh man, I wish we were topside so we could kind of watch this happen.
Yeah.
But they never get to. The rocks are coming and everything's caving in.
Hmm.
And then the whole
I like
fucking
that they're
thing
smoking while
collapses.
they're about to
Oh,
die
right.
too. That's
He's got a joint. They're smoking a little bit. I would.
oh yeah.
And they're dead,
Hmm.
essentially, because the whole fucking place crashes in.
That's it.
And then the really only shot you get of whatever the fuck was existing underneath,
Hmm.
and these ancient gods or whatever, is this big old awful looking CGI hand that like bursts up and just kind of like swats across,
Hmm.
and that's
I
it.
have to find I
Movie's
found
over.
a really fun video and I'll have to see if I can find it and share it on Instagram of how they do that shot with the hand. And actually most of it is practical effects. And I think that because they do like a
Really?
tiny version, yeah, they do a tiny version of the cabin. Um, but I think they must use CGI on top of something else. Like it's someone's actual hand coming through and then they layer something on top of it. But I'm like, why
Huh.
would you go through all that effort to just ruin
Right.
it with like just bad yeah, that some of the computer stuff doesn't look great.
And that's the end of our movie, Natalie.
Mhm.
Everyone loses.
Yeah. I like that. I like the
Me
world
too.
ending. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think it would have been cop out to save the world and them survive. I think it was great to
Yeah,
just watch it all just fucking go to shit.
for sure.
Is there anything I forgot?
I don't think so. Yeah. You went through I think everything.
I do what I can.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
job.
I like
Because it's a
how
lot. It's a heavy plot for an hour and a half.
Dana was like, sorry for almost shooting you. I don't think I was really going to. And I'm like, bullshit.
You absolutely were.
Get
She
the
had
fuck
the
out of here,
look of
Dana.
murder in her eyes.
Yeah, and I think Marty knows too. He's like, yeah, whatever. What can you do?
Yeah, it doesn't
Sorry,
matter.
sorry, not sorry about not telling you there's a werewolf coming up behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
This is where we're
So,
at now.
dang. I am curious to see, or curious to hear, rather, what taglines we have for this movie.
All right. This movie has 9 taglines.
Why?
I was so surprised because I've only ever seen one.
I don't remember any of
And
them.
so the one that I've seen is You Think You Know the Story.
Okay.
Okay, so there's that one. They're all pretty fun and silly, but again, I hadn't seen any of these before, so I'll get the not so fun ones out of the way. There's We Work with What We Have, which wouldn't make sense if you hadn't seen the movie.
Yeah, that's not good.
This one, this spoilery one, There is a greater good, and for that you must be sacrificed.
Hmm. Do you ever see in the movie Hot Fuzz?
Yes, I love that movie.
That's my spoiler alert. Sorry, everybody. That's my favorite greater good twist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. And then they all are kind of fun and I'll rapid fire these. If you hear a strange sound outside, have sex. If an
Hmm.
old man warns you not to go there, make fun of him. Quaint abandoned property, sold. If the basement door swings open, go down there. If something is chasing you, split up. And then I think my favorite one is this one. 5 friends go to a cabin in the woods. Bad things happen.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one, I think.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't give anything away, but lets you know, like, yeah, I mean, obviously, it's Cabin in the Woods. This is gonna be a horror movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
So it's had some interesting taglines that I've never seen.
I was looking
That's
through
one of
the
them.
awards. Um, you know, it won a couple Fangoria Chainsaw Awards. Won Best Wide Release Film for 2013. Um, I
Hmm.
don't think it was the best of the nominees.
Oh, what were the other nominees?
Well, you had one that aren't, yeah, okay, so only one is better, but I think you've got The Gray. Is that even a horror movie? That one with Liam Neeson with wolves? I never saw it.
I've never seen it.
You've got this animated movie, Paranorman, which I've not seen, but I appreciate
Oh,
spooky options for children.
I've seen it. It's fine.
You've got The Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe. It's pretty
Oh,
good.
that one I've never seen.
I liked it. It's just an old-timey ghost story. It's pretty
I
good.
love that. Okay.
And then I think personally, I think Sinister deserved to win the award
Oh, for
over
sure.
Cabin in the
Yeah.
Woods,
Oh, yeah,
but
definitely.
I think Cabin in the Woods is just because of the novelty of it and the homage it's trying to play to like a lot of different horror. Like, I get it.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, Boo scores. I'll let you go first.
I think that's fair because I have no idea what your boo score is going to be, but I feel like mine is more obvious. Um, well, I've seen this movie a lot, and that's because I do love it. I don't talk about this movie often. That it isn't, I feel like it's more of a comedy than it is horror. But what I do like about this movie, and like I think this is very much a love it or hate it type of movie. There's not very many people who are in between on it. I love the humor. Again, I do think that's a Joss Whedon writing bias. I like the way the jokes land. I like the silliness of it. Like I can't help it. It was a formative part of my adolescence of watching all of his, shows and movies. The acting is really great. I love the cast. And I like how all of the tropes and the archetypes are handled in the way that they find these like silly ways to, justify things happening that, whether you morally agree with them, they're there and they're part of slashers. And I do love Marty. I really do. And something I didn't mention earlier, I really like the score of this movie. I've listened to it while I've been working every now and then, and it's really good. Um, it's got a great score. So I'm gonna give this a generous 4 boos.
Or booze. There you go. Hell yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know if I never really I don't know if the score stuck out to me to like enough for me to notice or listen to it, but I'll go back
I
and
don't
check it
know if
out.
it did the first time, but especially anytime that there's like when you're getting towards the end of the movie when they're going through the more dramatic like the world is ending scenes, the movie like ties that really dramatic swell like back into the beginning of when they're like first entering danger. Like it fits really well together when you're like just listening to it as a story. So I enjoy the score. Yeah. How about you?
I don't it's like I like the idea of the movie to a point. It's like why do ancient gods love horror movies and horror movie trappings that were developed centuries and centuries after they existed? Was it always?
Maybe it evolved into that.
I guess. Is there not like
Because he makes a
I'd like
reference, he's like, remember when you used to just be able to throw a girl into a volcano?
right? I don't know. It's I mean, there's enough that's unexplained, and not that I need everything to be explained, but I do find myself like saying why? Like as I'm watching this. Um, why not rom-coms? Why can't they just like how come we can't just create some sort of meet cute and then that saves the world? Nah, they
No,
always
it
gotta
has to be
ritually
death.
they gotta sacrifice somebody. Um, I like some of these performances. I don't know if I like all any really of the college kids.
I
Um,
disagree. I think Jules really does the best job.
she's the least aggravating, absolutely. And I'm most sympathetic towards her because like they it's date rape.
And
Um,
she
so
has the best range though too. Like 'cause she goes from being all fantastic to like having to like scream her head off. I think
so
she's great.
yeah, they don't pick bad actors to be Power Rangers. So it makes sense. I get it.
Are you sure about that?
100%. Oh my gosh, I was at Emerald City Comic Con, the one that they held here in Seattle, and I was like, oh, I should go say hi, but I won't because like I don't also want to like I don't know, engage with people at cons or whatever. But the dude
Hmm.
that played the original Red Ranger was there, and I was
That's fun.
like that's a celebrity shit for me.
Yeah, that
Like
it
that's
really is.
fuck. Um, so I had to like do a double take because I walked past, because I walked past him, and
Yeah.
my wife was like, "Do you want to go over and say hi?" And I was like, "No,
You're like, no,
no,
just hiding.
I'm not ready yet." You know, um, this movie is fun and it's a fun watch. I do appreciate what it's doing. I don't know, like I guess, and here I am. I'm not a writer. I don't know, but I'm just like wondering, like, could they sit and like come up with I don't know, just flesh this out like a little bit more.
Hmm.
Like I would actually be like, maybe this movie should be like 10 minutes longer. That just
I think
explain a
it
little
actually
bit
could have
more.
been like, because it's an hour and a half, I think, solid. And this is one of the few
Mhm.
movies where I'm like, 10 or 15 more minutes probably would have like tied a couple things up a little better.
I um I don't like Dana in this movie, so it's
Oh,
hard
me either.
following her a
Yeah,
lot in
Dana's
this.
boring.
And Holden's kind of like a nothing character. Yeah, you're right. Jules is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, she's the best.
Um, but gosh, like I said, you've got so many heavy hitters. Love Richard Jenkins, love Bradley Whitford,
Hmm.
love Sigourney Weaver, double love Sigourney Weaver.
Hmm. And they're great.
I liked all the monsters, even the bad CG ones.
Yeah. The monsters
Mm.
are really fun that you get to see so many.
I came into this movie with a 2.5 in mind.
Oof.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Wow, that's generous of you.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking
I
too.
knew you were going to go low though. I knew I was going to come in hotter on this movie than you. Um yeah, I really do like when I talk to people about this movie, um it's very much like you either absolutely love it or you're just kind of like, it was fine. But I haven't met many people that like hate it or that like think it's terrible. I recommend this to people who are fans of Buffy and Angel and Firefly and all of those things because I know that they'll enjoy at least seeing some familiar faces and some of
Hmm.
the humor. But I don't recommend this to a lot of people because there's this weird like in between of it's horror comedy, but it's not quite scary.
Right.
So the audience for it, I feel like, is a little bit smaller for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. Who would you have liked to see? What monster would you have liked to have seen them face instead of the Buckner family? Because, like, when I saw that board of all the options, I was like, really? We got the zombie, what were they called? Zombie
Z-
torture.
Redneck family, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was just like, well, if they're already at the Buckner house, like, it feels very convenient that they'd read the Buckner diary. But
Hmm.
I would have wanted to see whatever that like psychic like game machine thing was gonna summon.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun.
Whatever that was gonna be. I don't think we see
Hmm.
exactly what that is, but whatever that is. And also, like I like the merman too. I think I would have liked to see a merman.
Yeah, the merman would have been fun. I agree.
So anything else to say on Cabin in the Woods before we wrap this up?
No, I think that's it.
I'm ready to barricade the door on this cabin. Um, and just, what really has stuck with me this whole time, Natalie, is that really great piece of advice he gave is just,
Oh God,
be kind because you never know when you really need to run screaming to someone for help and
that's true.
you really want them to help you.
Hmm.
And so just being a dickhead, even if it is some
Yeah.
misogynist piece of shit, well, never mind. Because I don't want to say just be nice and be kind to racist, misogynist pieces of shit.
No, no, you absolutely shouldn't.
Mm,
It's a very specific situation that I was talking about. If they are
yeah.
your possible last hope, like that's the last civilization you see before entering a cabin
If
in
you
the
can,
woods, then yes, keep your opinions to yourself. You might need to go back to that person, whether they are
yeah,
racist, sexist, whatever it is. Watch out. Just mind your P's and Q's when somebody might have your life in their hands.
and
That's all I'm
access to all
saying.
the gasoline in the area.
Right? Exactly. He's the only fucking gas station.
Yeah. That's all I got. All right,
Good.
everybody. Take care. Three, two, one, ghost.
Thanks for listening to our episode on The Cabin in the Woods. If you enjoyed this episode, you could subscribe to our podcast and leave us a killer review on whichever platform you choose to listen. You can find us on Instagram at 321ghostpod and give us a follow. We would love to hear which monster you would have liked to see more of. You could shoot an email to 321ghostpod@gmail.com to share any thoughts, questions, or recommend a movie you'd like to hear us discuss. Next week, we're jumping back into playtime and continuing our franchise series with Child's Play 2. Thanks again for listening, and remember, no fucking in the forest. 3, 2, 1, ghost.